For as bad as the stories we've heard have been, and they've been really bad, I feel like there's this moment of empowerment happening, the comedian says as he prepares to host the first gala of a very tense awards season. Seth Meyers knows exactly what he signed up for as host of the 75th annual Golden Globes ceremony, and he's both excited and apprehensive. Any other year, jitters would also be understandable, as Meyers himself says, "I always think it's troubling when people don't feel a little bit nervous about things like this." But no other host has had to grapple with the mountain of sexual misconduct allegations that have been rocking Hollywood for months, starting with film behemoth Harvey Weinstein, who has seen his career basically evaporate following harrowing claims from more than 60 women across the industry and its periphery. Weinstein has denied all non-consensual acts. Given all that, it's understandable why the Globes took its time selecting a host for this year. The ceremony did not announce Meyers as MC until late November. But Meyers, for his part, is actually kind of grateful for the late notice. "Had we found out in the summer, I would have stressed about it that whole time as well," the late-night host quipped during an interview with VF in December. "So having a smaller window is actually better. The Globes is a ceremony unlike basically any other. It's less fussy than the Oscars, and typically a bit more wild in terms of its nominees and winners. Globes MCs have more room than Oscars hosts to make fun of the very industry they've been called upon to celebrate, as well as the idea of awards shows more generally." Meyers credits a lot of the brand to Ricky Gervais, who has hosted the gala 4 times. "I think he took this show that really wasn't one thing or the other, and made it what it is now," Meyers said, which is a place for a kind of joke that wasn't existing at other award shows. But what will Meyers do about his tone-setting opening monologue? Yes, Meyers will need to amp up the crowd and remind everyone whom they're about to celebrate, but there's also the giant elephant in the room, the industry's dark side, something that's been built in since the very birth of Hollywood. And there is no guarantee that this new, empowered era will lead to much-needed systemic change. Weinstein might be a pariah for now, but Mel Gibson just had a successful holiday at the box office. How does a host reconcile all that without completely killing the mood? Thankfully, this particular host has had some practice. On Late Night, Meyers has been engaged in these conversations from the beginning. Over the last few months, Meyers said, he and his staff have had countless discussions about both the issue and how best to approach it on Late Night. He employed that same strategy at the Globes. Hollywood has a lot to ask itself this year, and so we need to address that and try to find the right tone, in a way that doesn't also take away from all the great work that was done this year, Meyers said. "For as bad as the stories we've heard have been, and they've been really bad, I feel like there's this chance, and this idea that there's this moment of empowerment happening, and maybe this course of history is going to change," he added. "Hopefully we can talk about it in a way that is not just drawing attention to what was a huge bummer, but rather what this moment means going forward. It's a tall order, but if any late-night comedian is up to the task, it's Meyers." Particularly since Donald Trump's inauguration, Meyers and his staff have carved out a niche for themselves with topical monologues that go just about as deep, and get just about as earnest and serious, as any daily late-night entry can go. Of everyone hosting a nightly show, Meyers has also arguably followed the allegations against Weinstein and the rest the most consistently and conscientiously, occasionally making use of a long-running segment called Jokes Seth Can't Tell to offer his platform to some of the women on his writing staff. One final credential: Meyers was among the writers who collaborated on each of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's 3 wildly popular turns as Globes co-hosts. "As we get closer and start getting a script nailed down, they'll be the first 2 people I will send it to get the thoughts," Meyers said. When asked if they'd offered any advice, he quipped, "They can offer it or not. I have their emails and the phone numbers, so I will demand it." Poehler is also scheduled to appear as a presenter, which might mean a reunion with her old Weekend Update co-anchor. Meyers is in the cards. One topic you shouldn't expect to hear too much about, though: Trump, whose ascent to the presidency loomed large over last year's award season. This year, however, Meyers notes that the entertainment industry has a lot to ask itself, so self-reflection will prove more imperative than looking outward and lampooning the endless deluge of news from Capitol Hill. "Reserving the right to change my mind, I'm not going into this thinking that it's a night to talk about what's happening in Washington, D.C., Meyers said. knowing full well that he might have 25 tweets 2 hours before the show starts, and we'll have to mention it. That would be unfortunate. But as Meyers knows all too well, it is an occupational hazard for anyone writing topical material in the age of the 24-minute news cycle. Here's hoping, though, that no such thing happens, because the opener Meyers is working on sounds like precisely what Hollywood needs to hear right now, both as a hard truth and a cathartic rallying cry.